Good morning, pre-K. Happy Friday. Today is Friday, January 15th, 2020. And Monday is a very special day. We have a long weekend this weekend. We do not come to school on Monday. If we take a look at our calendar over here, we will see that there's something special here. Here it says Martin Luther King Jr. Day. It's a very special day, and that's why we do not have school on Monday. So I figured we could read a book about Martin Luther King Jr. and find out why he's so important to us and the world today. This is Martin Luther King Jr. Today, people of all races celebrate Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So when you hear the word races, that doesn't mean we're racing. That means everybody of all different colored skin. We all celebrate Martin Luther King Jr. because he was so very special. When Dr. King was a boy, he couldn't even go to the same schools as white children. So you see how, look at his face. Here he is. How does his face look? Sad, right? He's watching all these kids go into the school, but he's not allowed to go to that school. He has to go to a different school. Is that nice? No. He couldn't play in the same parks or eat in the same restaurants. He couldn't drink at the same water fountains as white people. Is that fair? Do we all drink out of the same water fountains now? Yes, right? Do we all play in the same park? Yeah. Do we all go to the same restaurants? Yeah. So we have Martin Luther King Jr. to thank for this because he didn't like that and he didn't think it was fair. His mommy always told him, ML, don't you ever forget that you are just as good as anybody. She wanted him to know that he is very special and he's not different from anybody else. We are all equals, and you should never feel bad about yourself. Young Martin believed that, and he believed it so much that he grew up to teach that message to the world. And here, if you look in the sign, it says same school for everyone. And here it says jobs for all, voting rights now. Because can you believe it that even if you had darker skin, you weren't even allowed to vote? Dr. King said, "You are just as good as anybody." And many people believed him. Hey, who said that? Didn't his mommy say that to him? So now he told all the crowd the same thing. And they believed him. They said, you know what? He's right. We are all the same. We shouldn't be treated differently just because of the color of our skin. African American people sat quietly at the lunch counters just to show that they belonged. So here they are sitting at the counter at a restaurant that they're not supposed to be in. But they're showing them, look, it doesn't matter what color I am. I'm not hurting anyone. I'm not different from you. Just my skin is a little darker. I should be able to eat in the same place as you. So that's what they did. They started using some actions. They started doing things to show that it's okay for some change. Because the change can make things better. They refused to ride the buses that made African American people sit in the back. That's not nice. We sit wherever we want on a bus, right? So here, if you look a little closer, this is actually a special lady. Her name is Rosa Parks. And she got on the bus and she saw that there was a spot in the front. And you know what she did? She sat right in the front. And everybody was really upset. But she wanted to change things too. She wanted people of darker skin to be able to sit wherever they wanted on a bus. So she wanted to make changes as well. They walked alone into schools to prove that African American children had a right to learn beside white children. So here, this brave girl right here, her name is Ruby Bridges. And she was the first African American girl to go to an all-white school. Because you know what? She wanted to make a change too. She wanted to be able to be friends with anybody. And she wanted to be able to go to any school that she wanted. So she made a change too. And because so many people believed Dr. King, at last, they changed the country's laws. So think about it now. Do we all go to the same park? Do we all go into the same restaurant? Do we all drink from the same water fountain? Do we all use the same bathroom? We split it up, boys and girls, but it doesn't matter anymore now the color of your skin, right? We are all friends, and that's what Martin Luther King Jr. wanted. He wanted us to get along no matter what. He wanted us to all be friends. Children of all races now learn at the same schools. So if you look at this picture, you will see that everybody looks different, but they all get to play together and they all get to be in the same school. And we have a lot of people in history to thank for that. We get to play in the same parks. They sit wherever they like on buses. They eat in the same restaurants. And they drink at the same water fountains. Because of Martin Luther King Jr., children of all races now walk together as brothers and sisters. So see, they're all different, right? They're not all the same, but they're all friends. And we have Martin Luther King Jr. to thank for that. And that's why we have off on Monday, because he's a very special person, and we like to take the day to say, wow, thank goodness for Martin Luther King Jr. and a bunch of other people, like we learned in the book, Rosa Parks and Ruby Bridges, because they made the changes, and now we live in the world that we do today. It's not perfect, but they show you that it doesn't even matter what age you are. You can make a difference in the world. If you want to stand up for something that you think is wrong and you want to change it, you should be able to do it. Okay? So in your homework, you have in the email 2 worksheets. One is just patterns that has to do with Martin Luther King, just to practice a little cutting and your patterns. And then the next one is, I want to know, how can you be a better friend? What would you do to be a better friend? If you were talking to Martin Luther King Jr., he made so many changes. He made sure everyone was able to be friends. What would you do to be a better friend? You could think to yourself, would you share more? If you see a friend that's upset, would you make them feel better? Just any kind of idea that you think in your head. You can draw it, or you could write the words, whatever you're comfortable in doing. And then take a picture of it and send it to your teachers, okay? So that will be your homework. Remember that we don't have school on Monday because of Martin Luther King Jr., okay? So we will be seeing you guys on Tuesday instead, okay? Not Monday. So you have Saturday, Sunday, Monday, no school. Tuesday, we will see you. okay? So have a wonderful and safe weekend, and thank you for learning about Martin Luther King Jr. with me. Bye-bye.